All Valley Mini Storage. Please visit them at www.lcvstorage.com. We have all three area high schools playing this week. Clarkston versus Lewiston and Asotin versus Riverview. Both set to be great games. And as always, the Valley's in for another exciting matchup of the Battle of the Bridges, which should be, and most always is, the most attended game for both squads of the year. We will start our live stream today with head coach of Lewiston High School, Zane Hobart, and then we will bring in, after this one concludes, head coach Jim Holman of Asotin. Zane, how you doing today, buddy?
Hey, doing good. Thanks, Perry. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for joining us again. And fun week this week for Lewiston and the whole Lewiston-Clarkston Valley with the Battle of the Bridges. Both you and I have played in one of these games, and they're obviously probably the most fun football you're going to have outside of a playoff game for at least the regular season around here. Start us off, give us a little update on how you did last week against Coeur d'Alene, and then we'll jump into that Battle of the Bridges.
Yeah, last week against Coeur d'Alene, first off, Coeur d'Alene's a great program. They've been doing great things for seems like 2 decades. It's a tough game. We did some good things at times, a lot to work on. Ultimately, you come out of that, with a 6A opponent. Stepping up that division is always tough. But things we can work on, things we can improve, and moving on, and excited to get to the Battle of the Bridges game.
Yeah. So let's jump right into that one. Excited to see how this one kind of shapes out. So I think it's going to be the first Battle of the Bridges played at the new P1FT Sports Complex there at Lewiston High School. Kind of talk about that and how excited the community is about kind of showing off that complex a little bit.
Yeah, no, super, super. It doesn't matter what game it is. That atmosphere at that field has been awesome all year long. But to add in the Clarkston fans coming over there and seeing the away stands packed as well, it's going to be a madhouse. There's no other way to put it. It's going to be crazy. Standing room only. Get there early type of an atmosphere. And then just what a cool thing for the kids for both programs, right? I mean, not only Lewiston kids, but for Clarkston kids to come play on that facility, and for those parents to be able to use that, I think it's just going to be a really cool thing for the communities both.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. Lewiston and Clarkston in general have been kind of waiting for the complex like this, so it's awesome to see it utilized to its full potential here Friday. Now let's kind of jump into the game. Clarkston is coming off of a tough and close loss battle against Moscow, and then we talked about your game against Coeur d'Alene already. But let's have you kind of touch us on what you think Clarkston might bring to the table, and maybe a couple players on each side of the ball that the Valley can look forward to watching.
Yeah, no, just watching Clarkston and what we do know, it looked like they tried to stay balanced against Moscow. It showed the ability to both run and throw the ball, so I think you can see a little bit of balance. Was impressed with their running back. I thought the running back ran hard. Quarterback, he's got a capable arm, so you have to respect both things they can do, running and throwing the football. Ultimately, I do think it'll come down to upfront play as well. I mean, that's going to be huge. What team can control that line of scrimmage is going to be big. Yeah,
and I at Clarkston losing Hayden Lyon at quarterback is definitely going to be a little bit of a struggle for a while for them to kind of make that transition. He was a pretty good athlete and a dual there, so I think they're transitioning, at least it looks like, to more of a kind of drop back balance type quarterback situation. So I know that they're looking forward to seeing how that progresses. How about you guys? What are you expecting, or what are you hoping to improve on from the last couple of games in this one?
The big thing we got to improve on is turnovers offensively. We've got to not shoot ourselves in the foot, and kind of control that tempo and control the clock a little bit. But yeah, just the last 2 games, turnovers have kind of killed us. So we've been focused on practice all week is just taking care of the football in general. It's gonna be big.
Yeah, Yeah, watching some of those games, and especially the last couple, it seems like holding on to the ball here or there could have been kind of the difference in it, especially um, when you look at the amount of plays that your defense seems to be on the field here lately. I know that that's kind of an issue for all football teams, but definitely when you start playing at that 6A level, it can be kind of a problem, I imagine.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we've actually been unfortunately put our defense in some really tough spots, and they've played really well. I mean, honestly, that first half against Coeur d'Alene, we could have easily gone into half being down 12-0. But we put them in some really tough spots that wasn't their fault. We were actually pretty happy with how they played.
Yeah, sure. And oftentimes as football, we all know scores don't quite indicate how competitive the game was, and I think that one's probably falls under that category.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So the Battle of Bridges is such a big thing in our community, and I would just like to get, after being an alumni of Lewiston, or if think you want to give me, maybe a highlight of the time when you were there and as a player.
Yeah, like you said, we talked to the kids. I mean, this is probably one of the coolest atmospheres they'll ever play in their high school football careers. We kind of take that for granted. I mean, both, we're talking football now, but you go to the Golden Throne game. This tradition with these two communities is second to none. There's not a lot of games out there like this. We just told the kids to soak it up, man. It's an awesome experience. Go have fun with their buddies and go play their hearts out. It's just a really cool thing for the kids.
Yeah, absolutely. And having been in a few different kind of roles of watching, I've been a fan and then also been able to as a player. And I remember in 2008 when Brian O'Kelly went off and had probably one of the better games of the Lewiston Clarkston, history. And that was just how fun that is and how memorable it is. And you'll remember that, some of the little kids in the stand are hooting and hollering, and all of a sudden you have kind of a little worship situation that you might not have normally had because not that many people go to high school football games usually. So people that aren't really familiar with it, if you haven't been, you should definitely go. A couple thousand people at a high school football game wearing two different colors, really cool to see. So I challenge you to get out there and go root on Lewiston and Clarkston and see what that's all about. Anything else, Zane, you'd like to add?
No, I think Perry, you said it best. It's already going to be a madhouse, but yeah, challenge everybody, whether you're from Lewiston or Clarkston, come support your high school, come support those kids, and make that place be popping on Friday night. It's going to be an awesome atmosphere.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thanks again, Zane. Wish you good luck, and we'll talk to you next week.
I appreciate you, Perry. Thank you, guys. Go Bengals.
Yeah, all right, man. All right, guys, we are going to now introduce head coach Jim Holman from Asotin as we get ready to preview his matchup against Riverview High School. That'll be at Asotin at 7 p.m. this Friday night. Asotin is coming off of a challenging yet very good football game against Tri-Cities Prep. The score ended up being a little lopsided, but I think Asotin learned a lot from this game, and I can't wait to see how Asotin bounces back. Tri-Cities Prep is probably one of the favorites in the Washington State 2B ranks to play there for a trophy for sure, and I think Asotin definitely has some roles to fill that we are waiting for, but I can't wait to see how that game bounces back. And with that being said, we are going to welcome our guest here, Jim Holman, in just 1 second. And here we go. Hi, Holman. We are live here on the weekly high school preview show. Just got done talking to Lewiston head coach Zane Hobart and talked about the Battle of the Bridges. Coach, I'd like to start there of being an alumni at Clarkston High School and playing in the Battle of the Bridges yourself. Do you have a moment that stands out in that game you'd like to share?
Probably just experience. We never got to beat them in my 3 years, but we should have my senior year. But it's great. It's that was before the actual had a name. Then it was just a Lewiston Clarkston game. A lot of trash talking back and forth. But I caught the end of Zane, and he hit it on the head. there's not a lot of high school atmospheres that are like that. Golden Throne, 15 years ago, the Lewiston Clarkston wrestling match was the same way. And he hit it on the head. Not a lot of kids get to experience that. So it's fun for the kids, the players. Like I said, I graduated 35 years ago and still remember what it was like playing against Lewiston. So it's a great experience for sure. And still, a little jealous that our kids don't get to experience that in Asotin. Really, we played some big games, but not many kids get to play in a game like that.
No, not at all. Just the amount of support just naturally that game demands is pretty fun, and I'm excited to see how that one goes. It should be a good matchup. Now let's move on to Asotin and Riverview. Riverview did get a win in their score against Juan last week, and we kind of touched on Asotin's game versus City's Prep, kind of in the introduction. So let's just recap that a little bit, Coach. Give us, kind of the good, bad, the ugly of what you got out of that prep game.
It was the first game for sure. A lot of ugly things. Throughout this last week, talked a little bit. We started on both sides of the ball 5 guys that have either never played a high school game or never even played football. So we expect some growing pains. And then you couple that in with a really good Tri-Cities Prep team, who I fully believe was better than any team we've seen in a couple of years. I think they're going to make some noise at the state level. They're starting 9 seniors on both sides of the ball, so we had our hands full. We challenge our kids to understand it's a process. We have 3 weeks to get ready for our league games, and they're not all going to be like that, thankfully. So we did some good things. Score wise doesn't seem like it, but we got better in the second half, I felt, and fortunately, I think the things we did poorly are all things we can get better at fairly quickly.
Yes, absolutely, and I mentioned it before. I think it's one of those games where the score didn't quite show how competitive it was at times. Scoring on the opening drive, first quarter was very competitive. Midway through the second quarter, it was still very competitive, and then it was just a couple assignments here and there that were kind of the difference in the game. And like you said, Tri-Cities Prep should be one of the favorites come playoff time for the 2B ranks. Let's move on to Riverview now. I think this is our Asotin's third year meeting up with Riverview. Talk about what we can expect from that one.
They're a pretty typical high school team. They'll throw it around. We played them 2 years ago in the playoffs in the first round, and they beat us. And then we went down there last year and played them and beat them. It was kind of a weird game. We ran for about 700 yards, and they threw for about 700 yards. And
yeah,
but they've graduated the quarterback, bring back their 2 top receivers, which is probably what worries me the most. New quarterback, but most of the offensive line's the same. So, I think if we can kind of limit the passing yardage, I think we'll be in a good place. I hope that I'm correct in saying that I think they're going to have a little bit of trouble stopping our offense. We're pretty faceted, and we'll continue to get more and more so as some guys get some reps.
Yes, absolutely. And as we move forward here in the season, I think that these games early on are going to be very important for some of these kids that are very athletic that just haven't got a lot of football reps under their belt yet. So I think these non-league games might be more important than they have been in years past for us, just gaining some experience and learning how kind of football works and getting popped in the mouth a few times. But now at 7 p.m. there in Asotin, is there anything else you'd like to add, Coach, on
6 p.m.? We're going at 6 p.m. tomorrow night.
6 p.m. Right. I don't know why I didn't have that.
Because it's been 7 p.m. for 10 Fridays a year for 30 years. I'm not sure exactly where it came from, but that's all
right. So 6 p.m. in Asotin. Field looking great, and can't wait to have our home opener. Anything else you'd like to add for the good of the order here?
Nope. I think you guys hit it on the head. Encourage everybody to go to the Lewiston Clarkston game, but pretty good game out in Asotin too. Come out and catch the first half of our game before the Battle of the Colors.
Yes, absolutely. We'd definitely appreciate that down here in Asotin, and good luck to you, Coach, and we'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good. Thanks, Barrett.
All right. Thank you. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in to episode 4 of our weekly high school pregame show. We'll be on here again next week previewing Clarkston game, the Lewiston game, and the Asotin game. We'll have more on their opponents and what the Valley can expect from our 3 high schools here, and can't wait to see and recap the Battle of the Colors next week with Coach Hobart. The Riverview Asotin game goes. Good luck to Clarkston. Good luck to Lewiston. Hope everybody stays healthy and has a great game in that one. And also, go Panthers. Thanks, guys. I would like to thank one more time our major sponsor that makes this show possible, All Valley Mini Storage. Please go see them at www.lcvstorage.com. All right. See you next week.